12-317, offered by Mr. Schock of Illinois.
Pursuant to House Resolution 487, the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. Schock, and a member opposed, each will control 5 minutes. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Illinois.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I rise today to offer an amendment with my good friend and colleague, Congresswoman Shelley-Moore-Capito of West Virginia. Our amendment is really simple and straightforward. It requires the EPA to consider the impact of new agricultural jobs and the economy before issuing new rules and regulations. A similar amendment to the Clean Water Cooperative Federalism Act passed this House in July, and it enjoyed broad bipartisan support. My amendment today says that if jobs and the economic well-being of farmers would be negatively impacted, that the EPA will be required to hold public hearings in the impacted state. It would also require the EPA to notify the state's governor, legislature, and congressional district. And it would require that the EPA post their analysis of the negative job impact on their website, request the Secretary of Agriculture to do the same, and request the governor of that state to post that similar analysis on the state capitol website. I don't believe this is too much to ask. We're simply asking for the EPA to calculate the number of jobs lost and the economic impact on the agricultural community with a new rule that would do such. If their calculation turns out to be detrimental, we want the EPA to let our nation's farmers know before they implement additional red tape and new regulation. We expect that the bureaucrats in the EPA here in Washington, D.C. to go out to the real world and understand the impact of the rules that they are implementing, that they are suggesting, and that have a real effect on farmers who are trying to run their operations across America. They are helping to feed the world's population. This past weekend, the Illinois Farm Bureau in my home state had their annual meeting, and they conducted a survey of the thousands of farmers who participated at that convention. They asked them an open-ended question: what posed the biggest threat to their future profitability as family farmers? Their answer? Was it input costs, lower commodity prices, land prices, commodity price swings? No. Their answer was overwhelmingly government regulation. Del Haddon, who is a farmer from Jacksonville, Illinois, recently told me, and I quote, "The thought of the EPA continuing to place more regulation on my farming operation is unfounded. My family prides itself on being environmentally stewards of our property and making our farm better for the next generation. We do it better here than any other place in the world." Jamie Schaefer, another in my district in Princeville, Illinois, told me that, quote, "The EPA overregulation has the potential to shut us down. We wouldn't be able to farm with modern equipment, livestock walk across the field and create dust when it's dry out. We need to take regulators out to our farms and personally show them there is no way around dust or dirt. It's just a part of the natural environment." Let's let Dale, Jamie, and other farmers in our country continue to do what they do best, and let the EPA bureaucrats understand first, before they implement a new rule, what kind of effect, if any, it will have negatively on jobs and the economy throughout our country. I urge a yes vote, and I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman's time is reserved. Gentleman from Illinois.
Can I inquire as to how much time is remaining?
Gentleman has 1½ minutes remaining.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would respond to my California with a couple of points. First of all, we did have the opportunity to apply a similar rule to the entire bureaucracy. We passed that yesterday. It was called the REINS Act. But with regards to specifically pointing out agency by agency, a similar amendment passed earlier this year to the Clean Water Bill, a Clean Water Act that had bipartisan support, and I certainly would hope that this amendment would as well. And finally, to the concern about expense, I can't imagine what's more expensive than putting Americans out of work. I can't think of what's more expensive than asking Americans farmers to come up with more cash and more expenses because of bureaucrats' new rules in Washington, D.C. And finally, this does not prohibit the agency from doing anything. It just requires the agency to know what they're doing, the impact on jobs, and that to be known by the farmers, the state, the Congressional Delegation, and certainly the bureaucrats at the EPA. With that, I'd yield a minute to my friend.